Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County, powered by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, in Orange County's only community radio station, but the only guy I know that knows everybody, John Gutierrez.
Hey, everybody. Welcome again to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm your Senior Vice President, John Gutierrez. And with us today, we have another great community leader who is also an alumni of our youth chamber, which is something we take great pride in here at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We'll get into all of that. But let me introduce you first, Mr. Jorge Flores, Senior Manager of Career Pathways at LA Promise Fund. He's also a public speaker, which you will hear his amazing voice as soon as we bring him on here. And of course, he's the advisor to our youth chamber. He has a BA in political science from Cal State University of Fullerton. Go Titans, right?
That's right.
One of our long time members, supporters. Our chair of our board is from there, of course. And also, he has a leadership certificate awardee from Harvard University. That's right, folks.
Harvard University.
That's right, Harvard University. This guy is one of the most amazing young leaders in our community. Welcome, Jorge Flores.
Thanks so much.
I hope that was a good intro, brother.
I loved it. I loved it. And now I feel so pumped. Very pumped right now.
Yes.
So, thanks.
Well, you definitely don't ever need extra pump because you're the guy that just brings the energy.
Thanks.
Where do you think you get that from?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow. Yeah. I'm like, all right, let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Let's say that I think like my personality, it's always like that kind of person who wants to put some light into other people, right?
Yes.
Maybe since I was a kid, thankfully enough, like by my dad, I think that I learned a lot of his ways to communicate with other people and just to inspire them, maybe, just bring some light to their work and who they are. And I think that's something like it's part of my personality. I like doing that, right? I like bringing that light to other people.
What did your dad do?
Oh, well, I mean, he was a business owner back in Mexico. So
I was about to ask that, Paul, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. You seem enamored. You're caught up in the story. I just had to keep it moving
ready
here.
to finish this point, but yes, I was going to get into that. Tell us a little bit about your parents. Tell us about where you grew up, Yes.
Of course. So, yes, my dad, he was a business owner, right? He had this, so it's a little bit complicated, but well, long story short, he created some of like the parts that you need in cars and other manufacturing or industry related machines. So he had that business like for over like 25 years.
In the U.S. or in Mexico?
In Mexico.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What part of Mexico?
Yeah, Monterrey.
Monterrey. Órale.
Monterrey,
Viva
yeah.
Monterrey.
Norteños, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Nuevo León. So he had that business 25 years, and then he was planning into starting that same business in Houston, Texas.
Oh.
So that was kind of like his plan in the back of his mind. So yeah, I mean, I think that I learned a lot of his communication skills, right? Just to convince people, right? Or pitch ideas.
Did he used to take you to work with him?
Yes, a couple times. Yeah. Like back when I was like, I don't know, like
so
like
you
10,
got to be around the business, right?
Yes.
You get to be around
Couple
the people
times, yeah.
and stuff. So that helps, right?
It does. And I think it's a lot of like that charisma that we were talking about too, right? It's important to have charisma, right?
Yeah.
And be who you are, be yourself, and embrace, right, your skills. And I think for sure there's more people that are going to acknowledge that too. And that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your parents at what point migrated to the U.S. and can you share a little bit about that?
Of course. I mean, I love to tell that story, right? I think that's a lot of like our community too, right? And our insights. So the plan was that back in 2017, the plan was for my mom and dad to move to Houston, Texas as well. The plan was, first of all, to send me to the U.S., see and taste it, feel it and see how am I liking it. Instead of going to Houston, Texas, I actually came here to LA. So I spent like the first couple years back in Orange County, of course, Mission Viejo. I loved it. That's still my home. That's where I feel home, right? So yeah, and then after I spent there like for 2 or 3 years, I talked to my parents about it, and they were like falling in love too with LA, SoCal, right? So they were
people
even
in Mexico look at Southern California in general. I mean, for those of you probably listening and viewing, so they call Orange County sometimes LA, right?
Correct.
Even though it's Orange County, la gente en Mexico is like, te vas a ir a Los Angeles.
Yes.
You're going to LA. But you end up in Orange County.
Orange County, which now, right? I mean, we get to understand that there. I mean, well, two different worlds, and at the same time, it's the same community, right? I mean,
but Orange County and LA, very different. As
They
you know,
are.
as we know, right?
Yes, they are. I mean, it's very different, like each of those communities. I love both, of course, but yeah, it's different, even like from San Diego County
Especially
too,
like
right?
Mission Viejo. Mission
Yes.
Viejo is very diverse, actually. You know, I grew up knowing of Mission Viejo because my brother used to play high school football, and his high school used to always play Mission Viejo High School
Right.
in the football
Right,
games.
right.
I think they're the Diablos or something, the team,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Great football school, right? And just in general, just always have great sports.
Right.
So I remember going to the school. I remember being there. You know,
That's
the Mission
cool.
Viejo Diablos, and very diverse. Very
Yes,
diverse. for
it is.
sure.
It is. And I went to Trabuco Hills High School, right?
Oh, wow. You went to
next school,
Trabuco.
right? I mean, yeah,
Wow,
it was-
that's another level. My coach from high school used to coach there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Great community.
It
I
is.
mean, just
It is.
Yes.
It is. I loved it. I loved it. And here, my aunt, she was the one working at the district. So she was the one who kind of like opened her arms, right? And she was like, hey, I'm going to embrace, this experience that you have. You're not going to be alone. So I'm going
Wow,
to teach
that's
you like what I
awesome.
know about like
so
school
you
and
live
what-
with your aunt,
I lived with my aunt.
and you
yeah.
went to Trabuco Hills High
And I
School.
went to Trabuco Hills High School. I spent there like, senior year.
Saludos and shout out to La Tia.
Yes, for real. Yeah, yeah. She's now like retired. She lives in Vegas now.
Wow.
She's living her best life. But yes, I mean, I think that she was
Played a huge
crucial.
role in your life.
She did, yeah. And she still does, right? I still learn from her and the
She's a-
way that she was.
Would you
supporting me.
say she was a mentor in your life?
Yes, of course.
Wow.
Yeah, just so much memories that I have with her. So many memories. She's amazing. Yeah.
So you go to Trabuco Hills, and eventually you obviously start thinking about what you're going to do next in your life. Where did you decide? Because I know you want to be, from what I hear, in the TV business, right?
Right.
I mean, the whole anchor, right?
Yes,
I guess
yes,
TV
yes,
anchor. That's
yes,
something
right.
you and I talked about before.
right,
You
yeah.
really enjoy it. Where did that start? In high school or whereabouts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that when I was, wrapping up my high school experience right at Trabuco, I had like two paths, right? Like the first path was like public service, like I like community and I like to be
Yeah.
involved with the people, and the other path was communication. So I got surrounded by great people, great students at Cal State Fullerton, right? And they were also studying communication, and then they were getting me more involved with Latino journalism, right? And NBC News and Univision and these networking events, and I just loved it. I mean, I loved communicating something with the people and for the people, right? So I got a couple of internships back in NBC News and then in San Diego, and then in the network in Miami, Florida,
Nice.
back in 2020. So during the pandemic. So it was just crazy, right? That at the same time that it was really rough, personally wise, academically and professionally, I think I got really cool opportunities just to start leveraging my skills, right? And I think like after the network in Miami and then in San Diego, I fell in love with this pathway towards being an anchor for NBC News and for Telemundo. And that was like my passion until I graduated from Cal State Fullerton back in 2022. And then I just decided to go back a little bit more with that community
That's great.
call. Yeah.
That's great. And when did you hear about our youth chamber, if you don't mind me asking a little bit about into that? Because obviously there was a lot going on in your life at that point, right?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, this is a story, right? And everyone knows it by now. I mean, here at least in the chamber community. So it was through a social media post back in 2020.
What?
From the
Wow.
youth chamber account.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they were looking for a VP, for representatives, right?
Yeah.
Part of the board.
Yes.
And
For people that don't know,
yes,
our youth
context.
chamber has its own board. So even though we have a board for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that's made up of a lot of small businesses, corporations, and you name it, they have their own board as a youth chamber, right? Which actually this weekend they're going to be putting together the new board. And so you saw this opportunity, and you jumped on it.
we just jump in. I think it's a lot of self-initiative, right? I mean, I just saw the post and I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to be interviewing some students.
Yes.
And that was like the first time that I knew about it. So I kind of like did my research, right? So I was researching a little bit about the youth chamber through the website, through social media. I liked what we do, which is those pillars, right? Education, empowerment,
Yes.
networking.
Yes.
So I just applied. I went into a couple of interviews and I got the VP position.
Wow.
The rest is history. I mean,
The
now
rest
here
is
we are.
history.
I mean,
Yes.
it's been like 5 years already. And,
That's right.
And we love it.
Yes,
So-
and for me, it's interesting because I met this young man during those days.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw what you all did as a youth chamber, and I've seen you all grow and develop in your, professional careers now. Right? Tell us a little bit about senior management of career pathways at LA Promise Fund. What are you doing there now?
Yeah, so I think like after I graduated from Cal State Fullerton, I wanted to go and give back to the community, right? So at LA Promise Fund, what I do is that we help students to get paid internships and jobs right after high school.
Yes.
So what I do at that department is to make sure that the students are getting certified with their skills,
Yes.
with those things that they
That's
need
great.
in order to improve themselves and then apply for jobs and get those jobs. So yeah, we have those different programs. One that it's paid internships. The other one is the certification process so that they can get jobs after high school. And we get our corporate partners who get to support us and give those experiences to the high school students. So it's just great. I mean, it's been already a year and a couple months in the job, and that's my passion. So I see myself there like in the next 5 years.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
That is now. When you went to college, did you go under like journalism? I know you mentioned that earlier. Or what was it that you decided to pursue?
Right. So majored in political science and a
that's
minor
right.
in
I'm sorry,
communication.
political
Yeah.
science,
So
yes.
I think that was like that
Because you
dual
mentioned journalism
thing.
earlier,
Yeah.
and it's interesting. The reason why I bring that up is because I went to college under journalism myself too.
Okay. Yeah.
And then eventually I switched to liberal studies.
Right.
I remember that. I don't know if you went through something like that.
Yeah, I
I'm
did.
sharing that because, you ended up with political science.
I did.
And I remember being in my, what we call poli-sci classes. I used to love political science classes. Like I couldn't wait to get home and like look at the books and study political science, something I love, right? Which is interesting because our chamber, we're involved in a lot of what political science is, right?
Right.
And I ended up going into sociology.
Right.
The study of human
Oh,
behavior.
I love that.
Right. And so it's funny how all these majors, and this is a good topic because we're in the middle of a lot of obviously students graduating from high school right now and college students. Right. And you go through those transitions.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? You're trying to figure out, which in the youth chamber, we see a lot, right?
do.
You're trying to figure out what is your next step coming out of high school, in college. Share a little bit
100%.
about that. Like, do you remember those years, what that was like? While you were involved with the youth chamber, like what was that like for our listeners and our viewers?
Of course. So in the midst of everything, right, back in college and
Mm-hmm.
while I was applying for the chamber, I first thought that I wanted to get into business. Like that was like the first thing that it came to my mind back then, right? Maybe following a little bit of my dad's steps, right, into getting at my own business. After 6 months, I decided, you know what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is like my passion. So then I got into political science, right? I took a couple of sociology classes, right? So there's a lot of synergy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Within those areas of study. And then when I applied to the youth chamber and got into it, I understood that I was not the only one
Yes.
in the midst of that process, right? I had like different other colleagues, other people, other students that they were just in the same situation. They were like, Jorge, I just changed like 3 times
Yeah.
this past semester. And I
This
was
is
like,
good
"Oh,
for our
okay."
listeners, I think, because many people watching or listening this years from now, whenever it is, you may have a daughter or a son going through what we went through. You went through it
100%.
recently. I went through it many years ago.
100%.
It's okay. I'm going through it with my son right now. My son's he's actually gonna graduate from high school tomorrow, and he's gonna go to college, and he's trying to figure out computer science, engineering, blah blah
Right.
blah. I said, mijo, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you may change this a couple of times. It's normal. So letting those young people know it's okay. You may try out, business, political science, and at the end you go back to this or that, right? Wouldn't you say
Right.
that's what happens?
Yes. And like you said, right? And it's fine.
Yes.
It's okay. Like I think as long as you are getting more experience with different classes you're taking, then I think you'll become more determined to see, okay, so this is what I like after I took a couple of classes that involved, let's say, political science, sociology, or whatever, right? But I think at the end, no matter like the classes you were taking or the major that you are studying, who knows what life has for you, right? After you graduated, and maybe you started studying sociology and now you are a business owner, or maybe you started with political science and now you are a manager at a nonprofit. Who knows, right? I think we can always take advantage of those skill sets that we gained back in college. So
I think that's great that you bring up you're a manager at a nonprofit, because a lot of people, I think I learned this at the chamber. A lot of people don't know that there's some great jobs at nonprofits. In that, I think a lot of times people think of nonprofits as small little organizations, and there's some big nonprofits.
it's a
Right?
world. Yeah,
It's a whole different world.
It's a whole new world, right? And I think that as you were saying, right, as time is passing by, more people is getting to realize how important it is, the work that we do at the nonprofit sector, but also that we aim to give a really good use and fulfilling purpose to those funds, right, from different sectors. And at the end, I think it's not only impacting them, corporate speaking, but also to the community, right? And that's what we want to see, better opportunities.
Your role there is to do a lot of public speaking, which is one of the things we have on here. Is that something you're out there constantly speaking about the organization?
Yes.
It's advocacy or
Correct.
fundraising, things like that?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's mostly fundraising, pitching the program to our corporate partners, our host companies that we have, like for those paid internships, right? So we're always looking for those partnerships and seeing if that's a good fit for them, so that they can participate in our program. The program that I work at, the department, is only one out of 6 different initiatives that we have at the nonprofit. So ours is more related to high school students. There's other programs related to college students, volunteering opportunities. So it's just a wide range of different initiatives within the organization. So that's great, because it gives a wide range of opportunities, not only for the ones who they want to specifically target or help high school students, let's say, right?
That's great. Paul has a question. Go ahead, Paul.
Somebody wanted to know, what does the nonprofit do?
Paul, real quick. Also, I think we need to, Paul,
Yeah.
real quick. We need to change.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. But go ahead.
problem.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so LA Promise, we focus in helping high school, college students to succeed personally, academically, and professionally. So there's different ways of supporting that, right? I mean, if it's academically, that might be through one of our initiatives. If it's professionally, that might be through my department,
Yes.
right? And as a whole, I think that if they're getting a couple of good volunteering events, networking events, those students are gonna gain the network that they are in need while they are in high school or college. So
This is great because we've been having a lot of guests on our show, and one of the big topics that's been coming up a lot recently was workforce development. Right? It's a very big, common, title word out there in the community right now, and that's how do we develop the young, upcoming workforce community, right? And a lot of this is great. The mentorship that you guys are doing.
yeah, I mean, and thanks for that. And I think just like the topic itself, it's so important nowadays, right? I mean, we live in a moving economy, right? It asks for different skill sets, and maybe we get used to just work in an in-person environment sometimes. And I think most of the companies by today, they are doing some kind of like hybrid models so that you can work from home.
Yes.
And it requires different skill sets. We get to support students that they are diving for the first time into Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, Google Drive, stuff that we use on a daily basis. And it's just great, right? To see them grow and see that now they have the skill set needed, and that hopefully they become successful applicants for those jobs that they are applying for.
Yeah, I heard somebody recently tell me that at one of the colleges, there was a new class where they were teaching students how to actually pick up a phone and how to dial the phone and how to make a cold call or some sort of service call.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because a lot of, and some of you might be like, no, there's no way there's a class that does this. You have to keep in mind, a lot of people are now, new generations are just texting. So they're not actually making phone calls. They're just texting all the time, right? Or typing, right? Maybe on a computer, sending emails. So there's a lot less of this happening, like you and I are having right now.
Yes.
The communication is very different, right?
Yeah, it is.
So it's almost like, how do we better those skills?
Yeah.
Because if you come out of college and you get hired somewhere and you got to work your way up,
Right.
you might just be answering phones.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
working your way up.
You mean you can't just send a text and get a job?
That's a good question, right? I mean, and again, we would have to ask the staffing companies, right?
Right.
How are people interviewing? I mean, you know what I mean? Nowadays, everything's online,
Yes,
right?
everything is online. And I think, like, especially, I mean, to your point, for the Gen Zs, and I even include myself, it takes up those social skills. And I think nowadays, because we're just like so focused on our phones, we get to lose those skills that they're basic. And sometimes we get into these and that's what we tell our students. You get into these networking events and you don't even know how to say hi, how to do like a proper handshake, right?
Yes.
You get so nervous. So I think social skills, they are crucial. And I think, so I'm glad that they have those classes, right? Even if it's just like how to pick a phone, how to talk, how to introduce yourself, elevator pitch and whatnot. So every single thing counts.
I know we only have a few minutes left, but let's get into this leadership certificate awardee from Harvard University. What was that like for you?
Oh, I mean, it was great. I mean, I loved it, first of all, because that was like my dream school, right? When I was back in Mexico, even. I think that besides just getting some college degree, I wanted to be there at an Ivy League school, if you would, right? And when I got the opportunity after I applied and I passed these tests and then the financial aid package and whatnot, and just making sure that I was really prepared for it. And then I got into it and I got to experience those classes and those lectures. I mean, that was just amazing. A lot of diversity, different backgrounds, and I think that helped me to understand not only our community, but also that we are always in constant connection and interaction with people from all the world, and that it's important to serve all people, right? So within that leadership program that I got, I learned just so much from those teachers and the things that they needed to say in order for us to be convinced, right, that leadership is important in every single sector, whether that's public, private, corporate, nonprofit, right? There's a lot of synergy within those, and we need to always stay active, right, and take advantage of the opportunity.
We had somebody on a while ago, a totally unrelated show, business show, and they were talking about, it was from some leadership institute, it wasn't Harvard, and they're talking about how leadership is going through a real change. It used to be, I tell you what to do, and you do it. I'm the leader. It doesn't work that way so well anymore here. You got to enlist people. You got to get them excited. You got to hold them accountable. You got to get them to follow you up the hill here, you know. Yeah. Talk about that. What's leadership today?
Wow. I mean, yeah, I think now leadership, it's getting into this next level, like you said, Paul, right? There's a lot of personal connection that needs to happen on a daily basis if you are the leader of a team, no matter if it's like I said, in the corporate or in the nonprofit world. There's a lot of that need for that interpersonal connection. And I think that now it requires another level of emotional intelligence from the leader to understand and sense their team, see what they need in order for them to keep themselves motivated to do their best job every single day. So I think it's only requiring even more and more from those who are in those leadership seats.
Well, you definitely are one of those leaders that we appreciate. You know, I like to call you a young leader because you're a lot younger than me. We won't talk about age here. Come on now.
Why are you looking at me?
We're all young.
But it's great to see. I'm sure Paul feels the same way. You know, when you see someone like yourself in the community. For me as a father, and as you know, I have my son graduating tomorrow from high school. It's great to know that if he ever runs into leaders like you, right, in the community, that he's going to be in good hands. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
So, you know, thank you for everything you're doing with our youth chamber.
Thanks.
Because I see all these young people coming out of our youth chamber becoming great leaders. I mean, we've had some that from years now that are with like Pepsi, right? And Edna and CVS. And I mean, a lot of them have been on our show. You know, Mike Limon's been on here, you know, David Betancourt, all those guys.
And could I give you another, I'm a whole generation behind you guys, you know,
dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. And it's fashionable for people my age, like it is all aging people here to go, oh, this new generation, they don't know how to work. They don't know how to get
involved. We sound like our parents.
Involved.
We sound like our parents, right? Back in the day.
And I wonder sometimes, you know, do they have the drive? Do they just want to literally just text and give me a job? Is it, they just want to be vice president?
But it's a different time. It's a total different time, right?
I don't know if they have the passion and the drive and the hard work that John put in starting his business, I put in starting my business. And I see people like you and I say, oh, okay.
There's hope.
There's hope.
There's
there
hope.
Is. There should.
But your generation is obviously in a different level, evolving, and technology, right? AI now coming in.
Oh, yes.
Right?
It's another topic, right?
So you probably see all the changes too.
Yes, and experience it too, right? And even like, I mean, I'm 25 years old. Yes, I still consider myself young, but now, I mean, comparing myself to Gen Z, there's also a gap. I mean, and even like, for example,
wait till you hit 30. It's really gonna
right? Yeah, I think so too. I think so.
Wait till you hit 60.
I'm like patiently waiting for time just to come and knock my door. But I mean, so far, it's just a lot of changes that they're been happening. I would say that something that we should always keep in our belts is faith in yourself, right?
Yes.
Faith. I think that's very important. So as long as you have faith in yourself, in what you want, your passion,
Yes.
you gotta keep it going, right? Until you get it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Jorge,
Yeah.
man, we ran out of time soon here, but I just want to make sure, Jorge Flores is somebody that I believe, and mark my words, you're going to be seeing this young man on some sort of, news channel, some TV show. This guy's going big places. I really believe that.
Thank you.
I really
Thank
believe
you.
you are.
I
You have
appreciate
that charisma. You have the voice, that presence. You know what I mean? And I hope that we'll see you one day as like the anchor of Univision or something.
Thanks so much.
You know what I mean? Like,
I really
from my understanding, that's something you hope for. One
Yes,
day, right?
that's still part of the dream, So yeah.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And to our youth chamber, for anybody listening, of course, Jorge is exactly what our youth chamber is about, right? And now he's leading that group with our lead advisor John Amador and the other advisors. We just had Veronica Corona on the podcast, and she's another advisor, right?
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah.
So these are the kind of people that are around mentoring and leading our youth chamber. So if anybody listening or watching has a son or a daughter who's in college or coming out of high school, we encourage you, just like you found it on social media, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully they see this video on YouTube and they go, what is the youth chamber at the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce? And they look it up, and you're going to see his face, and you're going to see the history of it. 15, 16 years, right?
Yeah.
It's been around
Yeah, already. Yeah. We had our
banquet.
our
right?
banquet, Sweet 16 banquet.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, time flies.
And
yeah.
and for those of you that were here listening to Veronica the other day, also Corona, we talked about how it was so nice to see, of course, Kroger sponsor the event, and we had AT&T, of course, donate laptops. They all got laptops. They all got a nice check. We were
What a
taking
celebration.
pictures.
Yeah.
It was so cool, right?
It was really cool.
And their
so
smiles
rewarding.
just sells it all, right?
Yeah, and you see the potential, right? You
Yeah.
see the potential that they got and the capacity to lead the new generation.
Yes.
So we welcome everyone, right, just to apply for those opportunities, scholarships, and especially
Where do they go if they want to sign up?
Well, they could go to our chamber website, OCHCC, and from there they're going to see our youth chamber link.
Correct.
Right, and then you'll be able to click on our youth chamber. Also for people listening or watching that are business owners that want to sponsor or donate to our youth chamber. You
Or
just
mentor,
mentioned the
get
scholarships,
involved
right?
or something,
Yeah.
yeah.
And not only that, back to the workforce development topic. If you have a business and you're looking for people to work for you at your business, or even internships or mentorship kind of thing, our youth chamber has a lot of great young leaders that are coming out of college.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Looking for those opportunities.
Exactly. Yeah, and they're more than qualified, and they got the passion, right, and the discipline to take any challenges or any experiences with their companies. So they're ready.
Well, Jorge,
Yeah.
I wish you all the best, brother.
so much, bro.
Thank you for everything you're doing for our youth chamber, and obviously, you've made your parents, I think, very proud.
Thanks.
Right. And for everybody listening, tuning in, of course, continue to follow, of course, our community podcast show here at the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Follow our social media, which is, of course, on Facebook, OCHCC, and our Instagram, which is where some of you are watching this, reviewing this. You'll see this also on our Facebook page. Continue to support what we're doing here in the community, because it's really all about our community, where our community is your community. And Jorge, wish you all the best, brother.
My brother. Thanks so
All
much.
right. Take it away, Mr. Paul Roberts.
Well, there you have it. One more reason to tune in each and every time to meet our community, the Hispanic community here in Orange County. Powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Applied Innovation.